Hey friends, welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast with your hosts, Kristen,
Nicole,
and Hannah. Come join our porch swing conversations.
filled with lots of faith, hope, and heart.
Hey y'all, today we'll be recapping the GAC Family original Christmas movie, A Christmas Star, with our friend Bobbi from the Our Family TV podcast. Nicole, you want to start off with the cast list?
Sure. It stars Daniel Lissing as Ryan Sparks, Sarah Canning as Madeline, Juliet Hawk as Celeste Sparks, Joanne Wilson as Gigi, Jeff Gustafson as Dave, one of the city council members, and Lawson Chambers as Mayor June Jackson. Now, a little trivia for all the postables out there. You know Jeff as Norman, and Lawson Chambers played Joanne in Signed, Sealed, Delivered, The Road Less Traveled. The synopsis from the GAC Family website reads, an astronomer predicts that a new meteor shower will appear over a tiny town. Can she convince the locals to help her with her discovery at the expense of a Christmas tradition? So Bobbi and Kristen, what were your first thoughts on this movie and what would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I thought it was a really cute movie. And of course, as a Hardy, it was good to see Daniel Lissing again.
Yes.
I liked that it was a different storyline, involving science and physics and astronomy. And so overall, I thought it was a really sweet movie. I would rate it 8.5 out of 10 stars. What about you, Bobbi?
I thought it was a cute movie. I thought Sarah Canning, I'm not familiar with her work. That was the first thing that I saw her in. And I thought she and Daniel had good chemistry, as well as the young girl, Juliet, who I believe this was her first role. I think they said that on their the interview that Daniel had the other day. And I thought they all I liked their scenes together. I also liked the parents. I really loved the scene with Daniel and his dad at the end. And so I think the bottom line there, I thought they were all believable. And so I really did like that. I liked the references to the three kings and the 3 stars of the Orion's belt and how it all tied into the Christmas story. And at the beginning of the movie, when Madeline first got to the Gingerbread Inn, she realized that she made the reservations for the wrong year. And so Ryan says to her, there's no room in the inn. And then Celeste says, maybe she can stay in the barn. And so I just love those references to like the Christmas story. That was really kind of fun. And I thought it was creative writing. I just wish they would have mentioned Jesus instead of the baby. But other than that, so I'll say 7.5 stars out of 10.
Nice, yeah.
I think I would rate it an 8, just like you, Kristen, or an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was great. The chemistry, I thought the writing was great too. But I do agree with Bobbi on the mention of Jesus.
Mm.
And Juliet, you mentioned, I believe this might have been her second role. She was actually in the movie we just recapped last week or a couple of days ago with Kayla Wallace. She played Lily on Snowed In for Christmas.
Okay, I started watching that movie and then I got sidetracked and I haven't finished it. So thank you for reminding me. I need to go back and finish watching that movie. I think people really like that movie, and I really
too.
like
Yeah.
Kayla Wallace. She seems just like a real genuine, authentic person. And I've heard her on a podcast on an interview with Kevin one time last year, I guess, or earlier this year. And I love them together. They seem like a super fun couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'll like it. It was a great movie.
Thank you for reminding me. I definitely want to go back and watch it.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it was great.
Good.
What were you going to say, Kristen?
I was going to say, I follow them on Instagram. I don't know if you guys do, and they're like really cute on Instagram.
Yeah.
Their pictures together.
Yeah. Do we want to start with our favorite scenes from the movie?
Sure.
Do one of y'all want to go first?
Well, I'll go first. I already kind of mentioned this when I was just talking. It was like one of my favorites the get together or the meeting that Ryan and his dad had towards the end of the movie, where they're in the barn and his dad is, sharing with him that, he knew that he was losing his job. And then he was talking to him about Madeline. And I just thought it was a very heartwarming scene, and it was very believable as father and son. And I really liked that scene.
Yeah.
That was a good scene.
That was a favorite of mine too. Just the father-son dynamic was great.
Yeah.
And I believe this is the first role, at least that I've seen. I know on When Calls the Heart, his character Jack didn't have a father, but I loved seeing his character in this movie actually have a father figure in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorites was in the
Thatcher
beginning.
was definitely not a father figure.
No.
No. No. One of my favorite scenes was in the beginning, when Ryan and Celeste are looking through the telescope and they're looking up at the stars, and she asks which star is her mom, and he replies she's the brightest star. And I thought that was really sweet. It's really nice to see him in that father role. Obviously, we didn't get to see that in When Calls the Heart. And so, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was one of mine too. I loved seeing Dan in a father role. It was awesome. He did a great job.
Yeah.
I think he'd be a great dad, one day.
He will,
He's so good around the kids. I mean, I've got to witness that firsthand whenever I was on set before. And he's really good around kids. And I know he, wants children. And so, I think he'd be a great dad.
I think so too.
Yeah, he got a lot of experience on When Calls the Heart, with all the kids, the students. Yeah.
And they all liked him too. Like, he was fun to be around.
Yeah. I know Carter especially.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, one of mine is Ryan and Madeline's meet cute. I love how she had a flat tire, I think, and then he just drives up in his pickup truck. Offering to help help change her tire, and she was like, "Well, I don't have a spare tire because the spare tire is flat or something."
Yeah, that was a funny moment, especially when she asked to take a picture of his ID.
Yeah,
that's totally something I would do. Like, let me just send this so people know who I'm with and where I'm at. And that kind of became a runner throughout the movie, taking pictures of ID.
Yeah.
I think he mentions it, and then she mentions it again about the horses, I think. She says something about taking care of the horses' ID. It's cute.
Another scene I really loved was when Ryan and his parents and Celeste and Madeline, they were all sitting by the tree, and Ryan was braiding Celeste's hair. I thought that was really cute.
I loved that moment.
I did too. I picked up on that right away, and it was like, it just seems so natural for him to be doing that, and I really liked that.
Yeah.
And I think I heard Dan say that he actually came up with that on his interview with Deidre.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah. Well, he was one of the executive producers on this
movie.
That's
awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So this was Brad Kervoy. Of course, Brad Kervoy he's doing most GAC movies, but on this one, I was really shocked. I didn't know that Daniel was a producer, but his name showed up, so that was cool to see him in that role.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, he did a great job as executive producer.
Yeah, definitely. And I was going to say, to piggyback on the earlier scene about the beginning of the movie when Ryan and Celeste were looking through the telescope, and they were, he was saying, "Well, that's your mom," and the brightest star and everything. I thought it was also cute where he talked about the Big Dipper having butterscotch and the Little Dipper having chocolate.
Yeah.
And then that came up later on in the movie, and she's like, "Butterscotch? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So that was cute.
That was cute.
Yeah, I wrote it down under, I think, funny lines when he says, there's no chocolate in the Big Dipper, or no chocolate sauce in the Big Dipper.
Right.
There's no chocolate sauce in the Big Dipper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved the scene with Ryan and Madeline having lunch and getting to know each other, and then him giving her a tour of Summit's, what was it?
Summit View.
Summit View, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My mind blanked for a second.
That's
Summit
okay.
View.
I love the name of the inn too, Gingerbread Inn, and then you're met with like fresh gingerbread cookies. I want to go
I know, yeah.
Me too, yes. It looked awesome.
I want to stay at the Gingerbread Inn.
And of course, all the decorations I thought were really pretty. The only thing that seemed a little bit kind of maybe over the top was when they went up to the cabin. All the decorations that were up there, when they don't even really go up there, I'm like, who put them up there? And like, when would they have done that? So
yeah,
that's the only thing that seemed a little bit maybe an oversight or something like that. I mean, it's nice to look at them. And the decorations in town were great, and at the inn and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought about that. Like, who had the time to go up there and put?
And it looked like they were fresh, like clippings from an evergreen tree, and so it's like that were on like the roof line, and it's like, okay, how did they do that?
Yeah.
And the fact that it had electricity also was kind of puzzling, you know.
Yeah.
So far up there.
Yeah, they didn't have running water.
No, they didn't have running water.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just, I don't know if you have ever watched the show, Kristen, but you might have, Bobbi, the show Timeless that Dan was in. Is it just me, or did that cabin kind of remind you of the cabin on his episode?
Yeah, it kind of did. Yeah, it kind of did. Yeah. And, you know, this was filmed in Vancouver, so it's quite possible because that's where that was filmed. Because we were actually there, believe it or not, we were actually there the day that one day when he was filming that show, that particular episode. And I'm trying to remember how that all transpired, but it was years ago, so I just don't remember. But it was like, that's when they had snow, and anyway, it was kind of crazy. But no, I didn't really watch the show, but I watched that episode because Daniel was on it, right? Yeah, so that was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Like,
that show.
Well, it's kind of like on One Calls the Heart, you know, there is only one cabin. And so they use that cabin for everything. That's everybody's house, everybody's cabin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool to see him on a horse again.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Yeah. And that was just like a cool story. Like when he first started When Calls the Heart, he didn't have any experience. It's like he taught himself.
No.
He took lessons right away, and you know, he kind of fooled them into believing that he rode a horse, and so he had to like learn quickly.
Now he's a pro.
Right?
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember hearing that story. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The scene with Ryan and Madeline sitting by the Christmas tree, and she was setting up the telescope, I believe, and she was looking at her computer, and I thought the banter between the two of them was great in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I really liked along those same lines, besides the banter, what I really liked about how they approached this movie was they made it clear that, you know, being an astronomer wasn't about just having fun, enjoying watching the stars. And they talked about the educational requirements. And, you know, it took a lot to be able to be an astronomer, and how much science and math was involved. And that inspired Celeste to want to do her homework and work on her math. And I thought that was really great because we really need to encourage our young ones to focus on science and math, because by doing that, it just opens up a lot of doors.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I agree. That aspect of it. This wasn't just a fluffy movie. There was like some educational aspects to it. And I always love that.
Yeah,
I do too. Math has never been my strong subject, but I've always enjoyed science. Like when I was in high school, biology was one of my favorite classes.
See, I'm the exact opposite. I hated science, but I loved math. I was such a math person. My whole family's like math people, and you either get it or you don't. Like math is one of those things. I used to help in my kids' classrooms, and I'm telling you, you either get it or you don't. It's like not, it doesn't mean you can't learn, but you're never going to get it in the same manner. You're either have that kind of ability,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or you don't. But science, no, it's definitely not my strength. You know, I mean, as I got older, I actually appreciated it a lot more. But when I was younger, not so much.
Yeah.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
And I believe you mentioned this one earlier, Bobbi, but I really enjoyed the scene when they're all sitting outside looking at the stars and they're talking about Orion's belt and the parallel with the three wise men. I loved that scene.
I did too. I thought it was great. I just wish they would have taken it just a little bit further, because they clearly had references to the birth of Christ, you know, in the story. And if they would have taken it just a little bit further, it would have been like a 12 out of a 10, like seriously, because that would have been like, I don't know, over the top good. You know, he also said, he made a comment whenever Celeste asked if she could stay in the barn. And I mean, he made a comment that, let's see, besides that, he came humbly to represent all people. And I loved that statement as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I liked how they tied it into the Christmas story. I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah, me too.
And it's just like the whole naming, you know, like her name is Celeste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just kind of liked how they did that. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah.
I agree. That was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then one other aspect of that, when we were just talking about, when I was saying about how it was great to introduce, you know, or talk about like the science and math aspects of it. And because Celeste approached it very differently than Madeline. So Celeste was approaching it as, oh, it's fun to look at the stars. And she thought it was all about fun. And Madeline, on the other hand, she actually approached it like almost the opposite. And I was trying to find the line here. There was a line that her boss said to her, and it was something like, oh gosh, what was it? It was something about an equation. You know, she says something to her. That Madeline needs to quit looking at everything like an equation. And so she's always like approaching things from the science math perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course there's Celeste as a child who's looking at it with the wide-eyed, fun, you know, very different perspectives. So they both enjoyed the stars, looking at the stars, but from very different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course in the end that somewhat changed. So that was cool.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I love that. It was really brief, but I really loved the scene with Ryan and Madeline when they first get to Porter's Peak and they're standing by the lake. I just thought the cinematography in that scene was beautiful.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious what part of British Columbia they actually filmed at. Where was that cabin located? Where was that lake located?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, British Columbia is pretty big and there's mountainous and, you know, it's so beautiful up there.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just curious, like where that was actually filmed.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Really
I'd love to visit Vancouver someday. I've heard it's beautiful.
You know what? Honestly, it is a beautiful city. It is a beautiful city. And one of the things that really shocked me was, like, even the first time I went there, it was like, gosh, it's so much like America. Like it didn't feel that different. And I was expecting it to feel differently, other than, you know, the metric system on, you know, as far as being used for, you know, numbers. So that's different. Well, because we're not used to that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like on the, you know, as you're driving and it's all in metrics. And so it was like, okay, yeah, I have to do my conversion here because I'm not a metrics person.
Yeah.
I have to go back to my old math days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hopefully if there's ever another Hardy's family reunion, Kristen and I can.
I hope you have a chance to go. It's really It's really a fun experience. It's really the best part of it, honestly. It's great to meet the cast and crew and everything, but to be on set is the best. That's the best part, is just being there, and like you just put everything into perspective, you know, because it's so much smaller than what you think it is.
Yeah.
It always is that way, you know. And so I hope you have a chance.
I hope so too. Yeah, I would love to visit the set.
Yeah, me too.
The first night of the Christmas fair, I thought that was a great scene. Ryan and Madeline and June's conversation when Madeline first convinces Mayor June to, I guess, you know, turn off the lights for the meteor shower.
Yeah.
And then Madeline and Ryan's conversation after, when he tells her why he's helping her. And he said, I can't remember the line. Do either of you remember the line? I think he said, I like spending time with you or something.
Yeah, I think it was just something really basic like that.
Yeah. I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah. When they said Christmas fair, I was thinking like a carnival.
Me too.
So I was like, wow, they're going to do like a carnival in winter time.
That would be cold.
Yeah.
I loved the scene. I believe it was the second day they were at Porter's Peak, and Ryan was telling Madeline the love story. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah. I had that on my mind for the funniest moments. I thought the story about his meeting was really funny.
Yeah, I have it written down here. Let's see. Ryan said he sacrificed his foot for love. It sounds like a country song.
Yeah.
I will say I was a little disappointed we didn't get to hear Dan sing, at least just a little bit. I mean, he did that, you know, where he almost sang, but
yeah. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a great scene either way.
What did you guys think of the big problem, you know, that happens at the end?
Well, I will say this, you know, think about like when you start watching one of these movies, in the first 10, 15 minutes, you've kind of in your mind figure out how it's going to end, right? It didn't end the way I thought it was going to end. Like to me, what was predictable is, well, you know, they're going to get together. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, right? We know that. Yeah. But I figured that she was going to get her meteor shower, all the data recorded, and everything was going to all fall into place. And it didn't. And I like that they didn't do that, because this is more realistic, right? That you know what, everything doesn't happen perfectly in life. And I love that she came down off the mountain, and you know what she said was, and what I really, really loved is that she said, jobs are just jobs, but people are forever. And that's definitely one of my favorite lines in the movie, as well as just something to live by. It's like sometimes we overlook people, you know, in the midst of pursuing something or doing something. And it's important that we put people first.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I totally agree. That is great. Great advice.
So yeah, I loved how that ended. Like, I loved that she came down from the mountain and before she got what she needed for her job, because there's proof of the pudding right there, because, you know, he'd been feeling kind of inferior and a lack of confidence because he wasn't going to have a job. And she's so educated and everything. And so I think he kind of felt like he didn't like match up. Yeah. And so this really showed him that she cared more about him than she cared about her job. So
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
So I have it down under most tear-worthy moments, but their argument that they had, I guess it was maybe the fourth night when they're talking about, you know, jobs, and that whole scene just really, it got me teary-eyed, and his line,
it was realistic. I could see that conversation taking place between two people because of the way she put it. Like she wanted to make a name for herself. Yeah. And it was pretty clear that she wanted her name on that meteor. She wanted it to be the Agate meteor. or something to that effect. And
yeah. I loved Ryan's line in that scene. He said, I love my job and I'm brokenhearted to lose it, but it's not my life. And I would lose my job 1,000 times if it meant Celeste was happy.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
And Dan's acting in that scene was phenomenal. Of course, like it always is. The last two scenes I have under favorite moments are Madeline giving her presentation on the meteor shower. And then the last night of the Christmas fair with Madeline's speech and Celeste helping get the lights turned off. and then of course the meteor shower and seeing the star and Ryan and Madeline's conversation and their first kiss.
Yeah.
To end the movie.
Yeah.
Of course.
We got the meteor shower and the star, and she saves his job. I like the way they kind of just wrapped it all up in a neat little bow.
Yeah. I loved the line from Celeste. I believe it was after they see the star, and Celeste says something like, do you think it's the Christmas star? And Madeline says something like, possibly. And then she goes on to say, or it could be your mother. Like, and that line that was in the beginning, it like came back around.
Yeah.
I mean, it was special that like at no point did Madeline ever feel like second best to her mom, or that's not the right way to say it. She was supportive of her mom in that whole aspect of it, and so you never felt like there was going to be a division because of that. Because a lot of times when there's, multiple relationships, there can be an issue with jealousy, whatever. Yeah. And you just kind of got the impression that that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
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 I agree. Do y'all have any funny moments that we haven't already talked about that you wanted to share? Or lines, like funny lines?
The only one that I have left is when they're eating after Madeline cooks for them and Celeste says that she even liked the asparagus.
Yeah.
And Ryan said, wait, math and asparagus? It's another Christmas
miracle.
Yeah, I thought that was so funny because especially a girl at that age, it's like she likes math now and she likes asparagus. That's very rare.
I don't have anything other than that which we've already talked about. There was a lot of funny moments, a lot of favorite moments, and sometimes they intertwine, right?
Yeah. That happened a lot with my notes. A lot of them intertwined.
Sure.
Another funny line that I have written down, it was also in one of my favorite scenes, the one that I just mentioned about when Madeline was setting up the telescope and Ryan says, yeah, I get it. And then he goes on to say, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I mean, that's just, come on, she went to school for 8 years. So, I mean, clearly it takes a whole lot of effort and understanding and experience to know all of that. So no one would expect him to get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes with guys, I could see why he would feel like inferior or, because he's thinking he doesn't know that, but he wouldn't be expected to know that. That wasn't what.
No. Yeah.
And I think she even said something to that effect when they were up at Porter's Peak, something to the effect where he made some kind of comment like that. And she said, well, I wouldn't know about everything that you need to do as a park ranger. So,
yeah,
that was good that she said that, and that would help to give him his confidence.
Yeah. The last funny line or moment I have in my notes is one of the days they rode up to Porter's Peak and they were talking about something. I can't remember what it was about, but then I think Ryan asked her a question and Madeline said, I go horseback riding with a nice man occasionally. And then Ryan says, oh, really? Who is this man? I think I might be a little jealous.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cute.
Yeah.
Do we want to get into the trivia now? I think we've
Sure.
pretty much talked about everything else.
I'll warn you, I'm probably not going to be very good at this because my memory isn't that good. I'm so much older than you guys, so memory starts to go, let me tell you.
Oh. Do you want me to start, or do one of y'all want to start with your first question?
Yeah, you can go ahead and start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first trivia question is, what percentage did Madeline give for the probability of the meteor shower happening? A, 35%, B, 78%, C, 50%, or D, 90%?
I think it's B. I'm going to go with B, 78%.
Yep. B.
Ding, 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 ding. You got it right.
Cool.
The next question is, what was the name of the guy Madeline told Naomi she had dinner with? A, Steve, B, Ken, C, Andre, or D, Mark?
I don't remember this.
I don't either.
I'm going to
It
guess.
was C. Oops. It
Oh, okay.
C?
was C.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, me either. That's a good one.
So when you do the trivia questions, there's always multiple choice answers. Because I don't have multiple choice answers on my trivia questions.
That's okay.
You know the answer.
That's all right. That's all right.
But mine are pretty easy, so you would know the answer.
That's all right. The third trivia question is, what is the name of one of the horses? A, Comet, B, Spartan, C, Harley, or D, Phoenix?
Comet.
Yeah, I think Comet is one.
Ding, 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 ding.
What was the other one? Do you remember?
I believe it was Stardust.
Stardust.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
That was one of my questions.
Clever.
And my last question is, what is the name of Ryan's late wife? A, Caroline, B, Charlotte, C, Kylie, or D, Megan?
D, Megan.
D, Megan.
Yep. Ding, 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 ding.
Cool. Well, you took all of mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I did have one. Maybe you guys will know it. It's how many years did Madeline go to college for? Is it 6 years, 8 years, or 10 years?
8.
8.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding.
Okay, so I have a few questions, but I don't have multiple choice. So we're going to see if you just know the answer to these questions.
Ooh, that's even better.
What was the mayor's name?
Mayor June.
June Jackson.
June Jackson. That's right. Very good. Okay, so what was the name of the place at the top of the hill where Madeline went to set up for the meteor shower?
Porter's Peak, I think.
Yes, it was Porter's Peak. Yep. Okay, and so then my final question was, how did Ryan's mom and dad meet?
Oh gosh.
Oh.
I wasn't paying attention, so I missed this.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know.
This was one of the funny stories.
Right. Yeah, I remember him telling her. I just can't remember what he said.
So like his dad put his foot under a team of horses.
Right.
And he got injured so that he could stay at the inn because her parents owned the inn. And so they put him up in a room, and that's how they met.
Yes.
Yes, I remember now. Yeah.
That's a good one. That was a good one.
That was great. Yeah. I think that wraps up our recap of A Christmas Star on GAC Family. Thank you, Bobbi, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun.
Yeah.
All right.
All righty. Thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
We love y'all. See you next time.